Hey y'all, welcome back. It is so great to see you. We're going to be doing my June update for my monthly palette challenge, my No Pan Left Behind / picking palettes for each month to use, combining looks, and so on and so forth. And then at the very end, we will be picking new palettes for the month of July. So if that sounds interesting, then definitely keep on watching. In case you're unfamiliar with how I go about and structure this, basically every single month I have pre-selected 5 palettes in total, one being my unofficial official Pan palette, which I have done one update so far, and I will continuously update y'all throughout the years of how the progress is going, what shades I have hit my 10 use goal off of, explain it more in detail in that, and I will link it down below, as well as do like a No Pan Left Behind, meaning I grab a palette, I use all of the shades within each given palette, so that way all of the shades in my collection get used. The monthly palette challenge is basically, with these 5 palettes, what sort of color combinations am I creating, what shades do I gravitate towards, you know, just kind of see what the looks or, you know, what I feel for each month. Also, I like to include in this update all of the looks, tutorials. You'll see them popping up on the screen. I show y'all the stats of each palette, of the total number of uses the palette has gotten, as well as how many uses each shade has gotten, and then I do include like how many looks I've created for that entire month. Now that I've gotten all of that and explained, hopefully in a great detail, if not, just comment and I will answer any questions. I'm going to start off with the palette that is my official unofficial one that is remaining constant throughout this entire year, and we will see it twice in every single update. And it will be annoying, and I apologize, but this is what we have to do. And it is my Morphe and Jaclyn Hill palette. This is one of my oldest palettes in my collection. I've neglected it for the past couple of years, and I decided this year that I am just going to get use off of it. That being said, I am going to kind of talk about just the shades that I have hit my 10 use goal off of strictly in the month of June, because I do keep track of that in my makeup inventory, which I'm not sure if that is up. If it is, I will link it down below. If not, so definitely stay tuned. The first shade that I hit my 10 use goal off of in June is the shade called Butter, which is this almost like orangey toned sort of transition shade. And since I was kind of close in getting my 10 uses off of another shade, I kind of mixed them two together, which is this one called Pukey, and it is more of like a really pukey, sort of vomity looking color. And then the next one that I hit my 10 use goal off of is this shade called Obsessed, which is a very cool tone, sort of light champagne shade, which is very easy to kind of pair on top of just about anything, you know, pair it with just about any other mattes, and also use it in the inner corner. The next shade I hit my 10 use goal off of is the shade called Jax, which is this deep red shade. The shade I hit my goal off of is the shade called Royalty, which is the deep purple shimmer shade. Then this next one is called 24/7, which is the like cocoa brown shimmer shade. And the last shade is this one called Central Park, which is almost the like sister or like the corresponding matte shade to 24/7, but it's just, you know, a chocolate matte shade. I still have quite a bit of ways to go with some of these. I know I'm struggling on reaching some of the goals on a few of them because I just don't really gravitate towards them, but you know, I am using this palette. It is getting loved and attention, and honestly, that is all that matters to me. The next palette in the month of June I pulled out was the Profusion Festival palette. This one didn't have any specific shade that I used more than the rest. I think it's because while I do enjoy this palette, I still struggle with some of the mattes in here don't blend all that great, or they just don't show up all that well, like specifically this purple one here, which is one I'm wearing today. Tried to add that in the like inner half of my lid to like get use off of it so that I could record this and film, and that one just looks absolutely hideous in the inner corner. I didn't really test it out any other way, I just kind of forgot, and that's why it got its last use today. I do enjoy using mostly the shimmers in here, some of the mattes I do enjoy. I don't want to declutter this one yet. I'm still like, I can still make some of these work, I can still use these. So that is why some of these are just going to, well, some of these, that's why this palette's just gonna, you know, stay in my collection. It's probably not gonna get a lot of use, but that is fine. I'm totally okay with it. But I did write down in my notes part of this that some of these shades in here look very familiar or similar to some of the other shadows in the other palettes, and I wanted to kind of note that just because it was just fascinating to me, and I wanted to share, you know, my findings and things. I'm glad I got use. I'm just not the biggest fan of this palette. I'm not ready to fully let this go quite yet. The next palette selected for this month is this one called, from the brand Pinky Rose, and it's the Bright Lights palette. This one, I have used the shade called Glitz, which is this like, not teal, it's almost like an oceany light blue shimmer. It's a very pretty one, and that is what it looks like swatched. I kind of swatched it on the wrong arm, so my swatch is a little discombobulated, but that's okay. Overall, this palette was fun to work with. I really enjoyed, you know, dabbing back into this one, getting back into this one. You know what I mean. And, you know, I really enjoyed it. The thing I did mention last update, and when I pulled these, or showed you that I was going to pull these in for June, that these glitters were probably not going to get used on the eyes. They were not going to get used on the eyes at all. I did manage to use them in a nail look, which I know I have sort of like a little like snippets of me whenever my hands kind of show in frame. In one of the videos, it's a yellow manicure. If I remember or find it, I will put up on the screen, but that was just a journey. I wanted to get use off of each one and just in one full manicure just to get them all out the way, but let's just say it was horrendous the way I did it, but you know, that's fine. It has some overlap with this brown, which is totally okay. It just kind of made it easier to get use off of all of these shades because I can double up on them and then, you know, count my uses and then I can focus on the rest of my shades. But you know, overall this palette is still performing fine. I still enjoy it. I still think it serves a purpose in my collection. Not that I'm like using this as a way to declutter or keep palettes. I'm probably mostly going to keep all of these palettes. I just want to get use off of all of them because I neglected them all last year, and some of these more than others from the previous years. So the next palette chosen is my Cosmic Beauty Muse palette, and this one I have used countless times as expected because I just really enjoy this palette. I enjoy the Serenity one, and overall I just really enjoy Cosmic Beauty formula. I have to say it might be leaning up there towards a favorite. I don't know yet, we'll see. And in this palette there is actually two shades in here that I have used the most. First one being Softly, which is the matte sort of like mint, pale mint shade. It's absolutely gorgeous. Like, of course I would lean towards that one just because it was so fun to pair with like all of the other ones as well as the other shades in my collection. And then this one called Inspire, because this one I had such a fun time pairing as well with other sort of color combinations and mixing around. I remember specifically as of filming just, well, the other day, I think it was like a week ago, but this one I paired with like the orangey sort of shades in the Profusion Festival palette, and some of the other ones, it was like a orangey, reddy sort of green look. Absolutely loved it. Oh my god, it was probably one of my favorites, and it was just beautiful, and that shade I used specifically in that. So those are the two swatched out. I am terrible at swatching because I swatched on the wrong arm, but this top one right here is Softly, and then right underneath is Inspire. And I absolutely enjoy this one. I had such a joy. I mean, I do love using this palette. Obviously, it's not one of my favorites, but like color story wise, it just very much speaks to me. It's a very much like neutral, you know, with some pops of colors. It's a very like earthy, fairy, cottagecore. Like, it's just kind of what I go for. And I don't expect that from me. I know, just because I wear makeup, I play with a lot of color. I don't seem like an outdoorsy type for the most part, but I do enjoy being outdoors. I do enjoy kind of being one with nature and all of that. So I'm using this shade here called Whisper in today's look just because I needed to get my last use off of. And then in the Profusion, I also used 3 shades, which I didn't talk about, but yeah, this is just a hodgepodge of leftover eyeshadows that I need to get my last use off of because I need to film this update. I've been slacking so bad. And the last palette is the Blend Bunny Blends palette. This is their all matte rainbow palette. An absolute perfect palette to have in your collection for strictly matte, strictly the rainbow. Have everything you need to create like looks all year round for any occasion, any reason, any mood. Absolutely just a joy. And for this one, the most used shade in this palette is this matte pink. It's the pastel first one in the trio of pinks, you know, from light, medium, dark. And I'm like, interesting, I gravitate towards the pink in this one. I feel like I would have gravitated towards maybe the oranges, maybe the browns a little bit more than the rest of them, but I didn't, and I was like, okay, I don't know what that says about me, but here we are. And with this one, since it is my only palette from Blend Bunny, I'm trying to kind of get to know Blend Bunny formula. I know a lot of people really like this palette as a whole, their matte formula, and as well as some of the shimmers. Shimmers have been more hit or miss, but this one is a formula that you can kind of go backwards or forwards with, and what I mean by that is you can definitely go in the order that they are laid out from light to dark, or you can definitely build from dark to light, so you can pack on the dark, then blend out, which is what I did today actually. I used this one called Chance, which was my last use off of for this entire palette to complete the No Pan Left Behind, and then I darkened it up with Nevermore, and then I blended up those two with this shade called Dream. Didn't have a problem with that. I could, you know, definitely pack on dark, blend out with light, or I can go light in my crease and then build upon dark. I didn't have an issue layering any shimmers on top of this one. Pigment, all of them are very much there. What you see is what you get. I just am absolutely so pleased with this palette, and why I decided to swatch all of these, so right here called Promise, this is like pink. So that I have rambled on long enough about the June palettes, let's go and show y'all what I have pre-selected for July. So really quick, the Morphe Jaclyn Hill, I'm not going to open it up just because y'all know this one is pre-selected for July. It's going to be in it all year round. The next palette I have pre-selected is this one from also Morphe and Jaclyn Hill. It's from her Volt collection. This one is in the palette style, palette color story, or named Armed and Gorgeous. And I know that I somewhat enjoy these still. They're not as like riveting, they're not as exciting, they're not like anything, you know, I guess nowadays in terms of color story and in terms of formula, but I don't want to get rid of it because I spent my money and because maybe I might end up liking this again this round. I don't know, so we'll see, but this is in here. I am not very pleased with this one, but I'm pleased that it will get used. That is my main goal, whether I like the palette or not. The next palette I had chosen, excuse me, is this little quad from e.l.f., and this is for their bite-sized eyeshadow palettes, and this one is in the variation called Hot Jalapeno. Again, more greens. I really enjoy this one. I love greens. I love the name of it being Hot Jalapeno because I am such a huge fan of peppers, hot peppers. The hotter, the better. I am that psychotic girl who loves that. Anytime that I have a chance to try a hot pepper, a hot chip, a hot salsa, a hot whatever, count me in, I'm on it. I'm excited to pull this one back out. I'm excited to use this one. I have noticed that these two shimmers have hard pan on them, so I will have to fix that after this video. But, you know, it's going to be interesting to use this one, pair it with the other shades in this go around again, so we will see how often all of these will get used and what shade in this one will also be the most used. The next palette I've chosen is the monochromatic green palette from Colourpop called Just My Luck. And this one, I still do enjoy this one, even though I don't support Colourpop anymore. I don't buy from them. I don't really care for them anymore. I feel like they were on such a high when they started, and they had such, you know, colorful, unique shades and color stories, and they really were thinking about things. It all went downhill for me, and I just ended up finally coming to terms and saying, I don't need ColourPop no more. There's indie brands have done way better formula, shimmer formula, and color stories. So my little spiel. But yeah, I am interested to see how I use this palette, interested to see what my go-to shades are and how I pair these, what I'm feeling, you know, just kind of all around, just the whole concept of this challenge. And the last chosen palette is one that I'm so excited for because it was a favorite for me when I got it, I think in 2024, the itsbelcosmetics in collaboration with Breezy Beauty. Now I don't believe she does makeup or like YouTube content anymore, but I will link her channel down below in case you want to watch some of her old content. It's definitely worth watching. She's an absolute sweetheart. She's very positive, very fun, does a lot of colorful makeup, and she was always on top of the new releases, and that is why I really enjoyed watching her. And so this is the palette that she came up with. Again, brand is no longer available, this palette is no longer available, but this is just, oh, gorgeous. Like, oh man, the mattes in here are so creamy, so pigmented, so easy to work with. The shimmers in here are just spectacular. They're smooth, they're so vibrant and glittery and so impactful. Like, you can see them definitely on the eyes, and it's just, like, I cannot wait to dig into this switch. That's the update for my monthly palette challenge. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to chit chat with you there, and as always, have an awesome rest of your day and your weekend. I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys.